Hello, Earthlings, and thanks to all my listeners for tuning into Master English with Tim, the podcast where Tim teaches you English step by step without hurrying so you understand in depth and detail. I'm Tim, native speaker English teacher from the U.S., polyglot, world traveler, and author of several resources for learning English, including the podcast you're listening to right now. This week, let's take a look at a very important grammatical construction that students often think that they know well. Now, usually when a teacher tells you that you think you know something well, they're really trying to tell you that in fact you don't know it well. Well, maybe you do in fact know this construction well, but today we're going to look at it from a fresh perspective. What you hear today won't be quite the same as what you heard about this topic before, I'm pretty sure. And of course, some listeners in fact don't know this construction well, and today's lesson will help them with that too. So what construction am I talking about? Well, it's the construction where you use a subject and then the base form of a verb. Here are 5 very simple examples. 1. They smoke. 2. The English drink tea. 3. We work in the same company. 4. Americans play baseball. 5. Yes, I sleep well. So that was the last one. There is something that is missing, though, from all 5 of these examples. The thing that is missing is something or anything that tells when the actions happen or how often they happen. But even without words like sometimes or often or rarely, we can tell just from the construction alone, just from the fact that we have a subject and then a base form of an action verb, that the actions happen more than once. It's reasonable and logical to believe that these actions will happen again more than once in the future. So for example, with the English drink tea. Well, we have experience, we know about the English, and they have a reputation. And the reputation about them, part of it says that they drink tea. And we know that because they did it in the past, and so we expect that they will do it in the future. The same is true in Americans with baseball. So I said that this construction, so subject plus base form, automatically pretty much means that an action happens more than once, and that we expect it to happen more than once in the future. So I have to agree, though, that more than once is not all that clear. It's not very clear. That could mean twice, or 3 times, or 1,000 times. It's really not clear, more than once. In fact, if you think about it, it's kind of like a plural noun. With a plural noun, we know that we have 2 of something or more. If, for example, we have apples with an S at the end, we might have 2 of them, or we might have 2 million. And it's kind of the same with subject plus base form of an action verb. We expect something to happen more than once in the future. Is it 2 times or 2 million times or something in between? We don't know, but we do know that it's 2 or more that we expect in the future. Now, of course, we can add detail. We can use the same construction of subject plus base form of an action verb and add to it phrases or expressions that say more specifically how often something happens. Here are 7 examples of sentences where we say directly how often. 1. They work too much. 2. Yes, they work on Sundays. 3. We ride our bikes to school every day. 4. I only read the newspaper on Tuesdays. 5. We go to the swimming pool pretty often in the summer. 6. Twice a month, they run half a marathon. 7th and last, we try hard and sometimes we succeed. So far, in total, I have read about a dozen examples, and all of them have the same construction, subject plus base form of an action verb. And also, all of them also share another characteristic. Listen again to the verbs I have used so far. Smoke, drink, work, play, ride, go, run, try, and succeed. And again, all of these verbs are action verbs. That's the second thing that all of the examples I've read have in common. Now let me give you some more action verbs. A lot of them, actually. Crash, eat, fall, fly, take, climb, lose, drive, stand, cook, sit, steal, win, draw, talk, close, walk, build, grow, destroy, help, improve, dig, hide, look for, earn, wake up, decide, dive, throw, throw out, wait, cut, scratch, open, take apart, pack, burn, fill, make, get, find, sail, boil, choose, hurry, and catch. Okay, that was quite a few verbs, and in fact, most English verbs are action verbs. However, not all verbs in English are action verbs. We also have another category of verbs called stative verbs. Here are some examples of stative verbs: understand, feel, see, hear, smell, feel, think, like, love, believe, and know. These stative verbs talk about mental actions, actions that happen when your brain or your senses take in information from the world and try to understand it or feel it. Probably you feel a difference between these two categories of verbs, between action verbs and stative verbs. Probably you can really feel that the stative verbs feel less action-like than the long list of verbs that I read just before. We have more action verbs, it's true, than state verbs in English, but some of the state verbs that we have are used very often. Let's see what happens when we use some of these stative verbs, with just the subject of a verb. With just the subject and a verb. 6 examples. 1. Of course we believe you. 2. They feel too sick to go to school. 3. I think it's time for us to go home. 4. Look, I see a pink bird in that tree. 5. I hear someone knocking on the door. 6th and last. Yes, I understand what you're telling me. So in all of these sentences, we use stative verbs without using any specific words to say how often the action happens. And usually, when we have this combination of subject and then stative verb, and that's it, we're talking about an action happening at the moment of speaking. When your daughter says, I feel too sick to go to school, she means that she feels sick right now, not usually. When you hear your friend say, I see a pink bird in that tree, your friend again means right now. However, we shouldn't generalize too quickly. We always need to pay attention to context. For example, if someone says they love their boyfriend or girlfriend, hopefully they don't mean only right now at the time of speaking. And we can, of course, again, add words or expressions or even phrases and add them to a sentence with a subject and then a stative verb. Here are 4 examples of sentences like that. 1. I understand her when she speaks more slowly. 2. Sometimes I understand her. That happens when she speaks more slowly. 3. I see Mary pretty often because we're neighbors. 4th and last. Everyone knows that Jake is a liar. I rarely believe anything that he says. So the stative verbs that I already mentioned, understand, feel, see, hear, smell, feel, think, like, love, believe, and know, they are not the only stative verbs. We also have some stative verbs that talk about someone's or something's characteristics. Here are some verbs of that type. Again, I think you will agree that they don't seem super action-like. So here they are: smell, sound, taste, look, cost, be worth, and fit. Let me give you some examples, 7 of them. 1. I love these gloves, they fit me so well. 2. You look tired. Do you want to sit down? 3. Your shoes smell terrible. Please put them outside. 4. These cookies taste like coconut oil. Did you put coconut oil in them? 5. Your brakes sound really bad. Maybe a mechanic should look at them. 6. Plane tickets cost too much right now. Let's wait until the price changes. 7th and last, these silver earrings are worth $300. Now, there might be 1 or 2 things in this episode that I think maybe are confusing for you, and I think I know what they are. First, I bet you're asking yourself, wait, isn't Tim just talking about the present simple? Well, yes, I guess I have spoken about the present simple this whole episode. So why didn't I just call it the present simple? Well, when people hear the words present simple, they start thinking about what they've already heard about the present simple, how to construct it, and what it means. And I wanted you instead to hear about this construction from a slightly different perspective. The other thing that you maybe were thinking was, what about that S ending that goes on the end of the verb sometimes? Isn't Tim going to talk about that? Well, yes, in fact, I am going to talk about it, but I'm going to do it not now, but in the next episode. So, see you next Monday. Thanks for listening.